Once upon a time, there was a young boy named Jonas who loved playing video games. He could spend hours and hours in front of the screen, defeating virtual enemies and exploring imaginary worlds. He was good at it too, and his friends were always impressed by his gaming skills. However, Jonas's grades at school were not so impressive. He struggled with many subjects, especially with science, and his teachers were concerned that he was not living up to his potential. "Jonas, why don't you spend more time studying for—" But before he could even hear what his teacher was trying to say, Jonas's thoughts were already traveling distant elsewhere, in his video games. Jonas didn't listen to them, though. He thought that school was boring and that video games were much more exciting. He convinced himself that he didn't need to do well in school because he would become a professional gamer one day and make a lot of money doing what he loved. One evening, Jonas was sitting in his room, playing a game that he had been trying to beat for weeks. He was so engrossed in the game that he didn't even notice the storm brewing outside. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck nearby, causing an enormous power outage in the entire neighborhood. At first, Jonas was completely unfazed. He had played games during power outages before, and knew that they usually didn't last long. But this time was different. The storm was raging outside, and the darkness felt incredibly suffocating. The silence was deafening, and Jonas was acutely aware of how alone he was. The sound of raindrops on the roof was the only thing that broke the seemingly endless silence, and it was a reminder of how helpless he was in the face of nature's unforgiving wrath. He desperately tried to find his phone to use as a flashlight, but the battery was dead. Immediately, he felt that rock-heavy weight of his situation hit him like a lightning strike. This realization shook him to his core. His entire world was dependent on electricity, and if it went out for good, he would be left with nothing. He was suddenly filled with a sense of panic and despair, and for the first time in his life, he truly felt powerless. Realizing that he has lived in an invisible bubble, unaware of the dangers and uncertainties of the world, made him feel blind in all senses, and the storm had finally woken him up. You know, life is a delicate balancing act. We must find a way to prioritize and balance our various interests and responsibilities to avoid being consumed by any one thing. Whether it's work, relationships, hobbies, or personal growth, we need to give each aspect of our lives its respected attention. When we allow one thing to dominate our lives, we risk losing touch with the other elements that make life meaningful. We may feel a sense of accomplishment or satisfaction in the short term, but over time, we will come to regret the opportunities we missed and the relationships we neglected. Achieving balance is essential for a fulfilling life. It requires one to prioritize various aspects of our lives, preventing any one thing from overtaking the others. By attaining balance, we can enjoy the richness and depth of life and avoid the negative consequences of neglecting important parts of ourselves. It's one's responsibility to create a life that is both productive and meaningful, and balance is the foundation upon which such a life can be built.